amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing. So amazing. So amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing. So amazing. You call
Queen.
Hi, good evening. Welcome back to Women of Destiny. We're here tonight. We have a special guest. We thank you for being here. We're very honored to have you on our show. We have Victoria Serpa with us tonight, and Dorina Boxell, who's, I always say my host, but we're hosts together.
Yes,
and we're here once again, to bring forth the word of God, and also to allow Victoria to tell us about her campaign.
Yes. Welcome, Victoria. We're excited about you being here. As always, we always usually have a theme, or we have something set specifically for our show for the month. And we've been working through transition to change to freedom. And so we know that this is a new season that we're in. And we also know that you're running for assembly person. And we're really excited about it. We want to give you an opportunity to tell us a little bit about yourself and begin to tell us what your goals are in this campaign that's coming up. And, election is not over the 4th. I just want to remind everybody to come out and vote. Okay, Victoria.
Well, first, before I get into my platform and why I'm running for assembly, I wanted to take the opportunity to thank you both for allowing me to be here today to speak with you guys and to speak to your audience. And
Thank you.
Thank
You're welcome.
Honestly, I really do appreciate it, and I feel blessed to have the opportunity, so I want to make sure that you guys are aware of that. With regard to my candidacy, I am running for New York State Assembly for the 6th Assembly District, which encompasses Brentwood, Central Islip, North Bay Shore, parts of Islandia, and parts of Hop Hog. And I'm running to make a difference. I'm not running as a seasoned politician. I am running as someone who's been involved in the community, who's been involved in my family, in my children's lives, and in a few different levels of government and community activism. And now I feel like I have an opportunity to make a significant change in the direction in which my community is headed, our community is headed.
That's right.
And make sure that when we do move forward, that we're moving forward in a positive direction, not a direction filled with hate and animosity and just fear. I want to make sure that we all know that if we work together, that wonderful things can happen, and that we should have the opportunity to stand up and voice our opinion, no matter what it is, have the opportunity to do that, and to move forward in a way that it's inclusive. It's not divisive. We're not facing segregation on any level. And if we do move forward in that tone, then we're moving backwards.
Right.
I don't want to move backwards. And no one that I've spoken to so far wants to move backwards either.
What changes are you looking to take into effect?
Well, I think the most immediate thing that needs to take place in the 6th Assembly District is having a cohesiveness with all of the community leaders, not selective ones. And to have a relationship with all different levels of government, from federal to town, all different levels. And this way, we're going to be able to see significant change in what we're used to as our quality of life.
Right.
From the simplest things that I think we all take for granted, and that's like the Brentwood Rec Center. Hasn't seen an upgrade.
Needs to be renovated.
Actually,
Dorina and I had spoken to Flotterin about it, Steve Flotterin about it last year.
Last year we went to the office and
we spoke to him, and we spoke to him about that.
Yes, I agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more. But it can't happen. The town can't do it by themselves. They need cooperation from our state leadership in order to bring money down, in order to work cooperatively to make sure that the changes that are necessary there follow state guidelines. And so, I mean, from the smallest issue to the grandest, we need to have a cooperation on all different levels, and we're not going to see it with our current leadership. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, well, you know what? Anytime we're in it seems like this season that we're in a lot of darkness with a lot of different areas in our community.
Yes.
And we look at that across the board throughout the nation. And I'm noticing that you do have people that have been in office for long periods of time. And when it's time for change, they don't like to give up their seats, or they don't want to cooperate, or they have a group of people that they're actually working with, that they're used to working with, and they won't open the door to exploring different venues to be able to reach out to a set group of people, you know, to meet the need in that community. We've been seeing a lot of that lately, and we did send some questions to you. But one of the things I want to say, Phil Ramos has been in that seat for a while.
Yes. 12 years.
12 years.
Over a
yes.
decade.
Interesting. He's been in that seat for over 12 years. He seems to be very well loved in the community. He seems to be very well loved. I want to emphasize he seems to be very well loved, you know, because there could be a perception that is given off, but in all actuality, at times, there doesn't seem that all the needs to be met in the community. You know, and just like every election that we go through, we see the people who are running all of a sudden showing up for photo ops and showing up to be in certain places and give a perception that they're working with certain groups, when in all actuality there's no backing behind those groups, but just to give a perception of what's going on.
Yes.
This season, I'm looking to see somebody who's going to go forward and really has a heart for the community, a heart of the people, and a heart for, not just for the Hispanic background, which Hispanic is very important in our neighborhoods, but across the board. You know, we have a group of people. Brentwood is so beautiful and diverse in so many different areas, where that we're so different across the board when you look across Long Island, that we have a group that is so diversified. You can't go to East Islip and find as many Black and Latinos or Haitians or Koreans in their school district as you would do in our school district.
So why not celebrate that diversity?
Exactly.
Why not celebrate those differences instead of using it as a vehicle to separate us? That tactic is a divide and conquer tactic. See, now if I pin you against you and I don't allow you to work together, or I make sure that you're funded separately, okay, now the two of you look to me for leadership, but the two of you are in conflict with one another.
Right, exactly.
So now I maintain my power because I've separated the two of you. Wonderful.
But
And
that's
it's worked for
always
the
been
last
the plan
12
of the
years.
enemy, to divide
This
and conquer.
year, it needs to stop.
Right.
This year, we're smart. This year, we've been paying attention, and we know that our people deserve better.
Now, we had some issues that happened in the community. We had Monica Martinez on here. She was one of the first people and politicians that came on our show to talk about the issues that were going on in Brentwood. For example, the situation that happened with Roberto Clemente, you know, with the closing of the park and, you know, the dumping that took place. And it's unfortunate today, I saw the commercial and also paperwork that came in the mail on Tom Croce saying how he's helped clean up the mess that his administration caused. I'm a little bit concerned about that, and not speaking against Tom Croce, because in all actuality he was serving his country. It's unfortunately that the people that he had in office were the ones that created the chaos that was going on. And so I want to see, with you being put in place, will you be working closely with legislation in reference to making sure that those issues are being addressed on a daily basis? As we know that she's been calling office, we know that she's been ringing their phone bills, and she's getting calls from some people, but not from everybody. What would be your perspective on that?
Anyone who takes a position to advance the betterment of the park, I applaud it. Okay, but what happened with Roberto Clemente was a crime.
Right.
It
Yes,
was a crime. So with any crime, you have to respect that there are things that take place. There's an investigation by the DEC. There's an investigation by the DA. And so me as a community leader, I couldn't really do anything with regard to the investigation. What I could do was see the residual effects. And the residual effects are, what were the kids going to do without having a park? My own child plays in that park, plays soccer every day in that park. So it was a crime that directly affected me and my family. So when we looked at what the issue was and what we could do about it, what we couldn't do about it, rather than inflict opposition and fear and just inject all of this negativity into the community, my opponent is a retired detective. If you see around my neck, my father, he's a retired detective. He passed away. Detectives are supposed to investigate. So he has that instinct in him. Who, what, when, where, and why. Without having those questions answered, he got in front of every camera. He got in front of every reporter and said that this was environmental racism. It was not. It was a crime. And I want to see whoever is responsible for that crime, and whoever it is, be held responsible for it.
Now, I'm going to play a little devil advocate here, because some people will say it is environmental racism. You're absolutely right. It is a crime. I do believe it is a crime. It's a crime that's being addressed. But some will look on the outside, looking at the racism part, because it was done in our neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It wasn't done in East Islip. It wasn't done in West Islip. I'm sorry, it wasn't done in Holtzville. It was done in the area where the kids need the park the most.
Right. Did you know it was done in Islandia? Did you know it was done in Hop Hog and
Well,
Riverhead?
we are aware that
The
even
same
by the
people.
Veterans Administration,
Exactly.
the area over there,
Yeah.
So
that it was
Deer
done over
Park,
there as
Is it
well.
some kind of ism against veterans? Did they hate the veterans?
No, they don't.
No, they didn't. It was about money. This was about greed. That's what it was about. The root of this evil was greed. Was
So now
money.
how
I
would you
think-
change that?
I think it was greed. It has to do with money, but I also think, especially in our neighborhoods, they figured it's a Black and Hispanic neighborhood. Nobody would care. Nobody will find out.
Let me ask you, and let me interrupt you. Do you think that this is an isolated incident?
No.
No, I don't. I don't think it is.
Do you know how many Superfund sites exist in
Yes.
Brentwood and Central Islip?
Too many?
Do you know what's being done to remedy those sites?
No, I don't.
Do you know that our assemblyman is in a position where he can remedy those sites? Where he can work with the New York State DEC to bring Brownsfield's monies, to bring those areas that have been so inflicted with environmental issues that are a direct cause of our children having asthma. Both of my parents passed away from cancer. And I believe that
We
because
are a
I
cancer
continue,
pocket,
yes, we
yeah.
are a cancer pocket. And the fact that we have so many Superfund sites and such a high rate of cancer is no coincidence.
No.
So do we all come up in arms in anger about what's going on about the park, or do we say, wait, this has been happening to us for the last 12 years, so why are you so angry about it now?
Well, it's been happening longer than 12 years, actually, you know.
I
Well,
agree
let's
with
look at
that.
the situation with the hotels. Let's talk about that. Those hotels that closed down, the one in Comac, the one that's off Crooked Hill Road.
That's Brentwood,
That's
actually.
Brentwood,
still
right?
Brentwood.
Those
yeah.
hotels were filled up, and it got brought to our attention. Montalvo's no longer in office, but the legislation, those people that were in place, they actually approved for those families to be placed in those hotels.
Yeah,
But if you
400
go and visit
families.
those hotels, there's no place for them to eat. There's no place for the kids to go and play. And we want to touch on the educational part too, in reference to what's going on with the educational piece for our children. You know, we do believe that they were involved with the decision making with that, but that's being held back. And it's like we feel as though, as a community, that we have totally been blindsided, and they, like you said, they do keep us divided.
They
you know,
do.
and so how come that hasn't come out to the forefront? How come those things haven't been spoken
Because not
about?
enough people are asking questions about it. Not enough people are interested in it. If you go to the Brentwood Board of Education meetings, you can drop a pin. There's no one in the audience.
Oh, but it's
Unless the-
interesting. 2 years ago, there was a lot of people in the audience
That's
because of the
right.
way they were being treated. But see, that's what happens in our community.
Yes.
Our community comes out when things are already bad, and they're
Yes.
reacting instead of being proactive.
Thank you.
You know, and so if we take a position of being proactive, we wouldn't have to continue to keep being in the place where we're trying to fix something after it's already happened. We're hoping that with you running, that would be the case, that you would try to stop those things before they even
From
occur.
your lips to God's ears, I become elected, and I'm in a position to really provide some core leadership that our community has been thirsty for.
Yes.
We've really been looking for it. And I know my opponent is out there telling people, well, where has she been for the last 3 years? I've been caring for my mother through her decline and departure. So I take my home life, my family values very seriously. And seeing my mother through the decline and departure, seeing my children through what they were experiencing emotionally and the questions that they had, that took precedence. But once I was past that, I dusted right off and came right back to the community and said, where do I start? Let me roll up my sleeves. Where do you need me? And we started with the park. We started with the summer camp. We started with that. We helped with the Kaboom Park. And I say we because I don't do anything by myself.
right.
I
That's
involve my
right.
family in everything that I do, including
right.
my decision to run for office.
Well, I think it's very important that you mentioned that you put family first, because a lot of people go out and they forget about family.
Right.
You know, and family is very important. If the core of our family is not the beginning of everything that we do, besides God, God first, then family, and then
Yes.
everything else is secondary after that. You know, it's good to hear that you're a family person.
Absolutely.
You know, and the reason why, because if our family line is not in order, then everything else
And
is out of
everything.
order.
That's
Agreed.
certainly
and so
true.
I applaud you for that. I applaud you for the fact that you took care of your mother, did what you have to do, but now you're back and you're ready to labor in the community. Maxima.
I wanted to just touch on family being first because Doreen and I are very active in our community, and we were all over the place for the last,
Right.
3-4 years, and we had to cut back drastically because
Yes.
our family needed us.
Yes.
So we understand that. And also, I want to touch back on the hotel where the homeless families are living. I'm concerned that where they have to go walk, they're walking on Crooked Hill Road, where it's already a dangerous road. And the state, the town, the county hasn't provided for them. You know, they placed them there, but they didn't give them the provisions that they needed. What are you going to do about that?
Well, there's a plethora of issues there. And we have how many counties in Suffolk? More than Suffolk? More than
One county,
I'm
Suffolk
sorry,
County.
one county in Suffolk. How many
Sorry.
towns in Suffolk County?
A lot
Okay.
more than that, so I don't know
More than
exactly how
ISLIP.
many.
So where's the burden being shifted? ISLIP is holding most of the Tier 2 shelters. So homelessness is an issue, but it's an issue that rises across Suffolk County, not just in ISLIP, not just in Brentwood and Central ISLIP. So every single township in the county of Suffolk needs to share in the responsibility
Yes.
because homelessness is not something that's isolated to minority communities.
That's
No.
right.
So we want to make I want to make sure, and when I say we, I mean I work together with all different levels of government. I want to make sure that that town codes are being followed, which I think that there's some question with regard to town codes there. I want to make sure that the school districts aren't being burdened with so much of.
Well, they have been, because it was, 400 families that were bussed in to our community without the community knowing about it.
Well,
Because we
know.
were informed that those families came from the Southampton area.
Yeah.
It's a shared responsibility. It's a shared responsibility, and we need to take our portion of responsibility back. We can't sit silent and then blame everyone else because something's not going on. We need to take responsibility for our actions and our inactions.
Well, you said there's a plethora of things that went along with the decision-making for that. I want us to touch base on that when we come back from commercial.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dr. Tom Dow. We have a multidisciplinary practice in Melville and Ronkonkoma, New York, and we treat patients with many, many different conditions, from newborns through geriatric patients with numerous different techniques. There's a technique and a type of treatment for every class of patient. We have them all here. Here's my son Thomas, also a doctor of chiropractic, working on one of our patients' cervical spine. This patient has had chronic neck pain for many, many, many years, has been to a multitude of different practitioners with little or no response. And with our specialized techniques, she has improved tremendously and continues to improve on a daily basis. We have two practices, one in Melville and one in Ronkonkoma, New York. We are a multidiscipline chiropractic office. What that means is we have chiropractors, massage therapists, acupuncturists, psychologists, all working as a team and a network of outside professionals such as orthopedists and neurologists that we work hand in hand with to help determine what your injuries are and the best way to treat your injuries. I have the great pleasure of having my son in practice with me. We work hand in hand, father and son, to give our patients the best care possible, and a staff which is loving, caring, and you'll never have to wait at all in our office for service. Many times patients come into our office and they have what's called a soft tissue injury. Soft tissue injuries are like scars inside your body. If you've ever been cut on the outside of your body, you get a scar. The same thing happens inside of your body to your muscles and ligaments. So our job is to determine where those are, stretch the muscles, adjust the vertebra back into their correct position, and then refortify the normal structure with exercise. That's what we do best, and I hope someday you'll come see us at one of our 2 offices. Thank you.
I am Tom Mealy for the Harrison Law Group, and I have been telling you for years that getting involved in an automobile accident is no joke. This is what we do. We're not new at this game. If you've been involved in an accident of any kind, and you go to a law firm that says you have no case, it's simple. It's because they can't do it and they don't get it. You need to call us directly at 1-800-INJURY-LAW.
Welcome back. So we have Victoria Serpa here with us tonight. She's running for 6th District in the Assembly, and we're excited. We were just talking about some issues with the homeless shelter off Crooked Hill Road in Brentwood, New York, and she was talking about there were a plethora of issues that went along with the decision that's going on with that. So we're going to ask her to touch on that a little bit more, and then we're going to ask her a question in reference to education and her vision for education and the competency behind that. So, Victoria.
Okay. Well, we're going to go back to the homeless shelter.
Right, correct.
Homelessness is an issue that I know exists, and we can't ignore it.
Right.
Now, I've served on the board of directors for Hands Across Long Island, where Ellen Healing is the executive director, and it's a peer-run organization. So my experience with the homelessness issue has been one that approaches the mental health concerns. After the closing of Pilgrim, some can say that the doors were open and patients were pushed out into the community, and so a lot of people found themselves self-medicating, not getting the psychiatric attention that they needed. So they were self-medicating and moving into the woods and pushing a cart around, and it's like that's the image that you have of homelessness. But homelessness is a different picture today. It affects you, it affects me. The fact that the foreclosure crisis impacted 1 in 4 homeowners in the 6th Assembly District is really intense for me, because I own a home. My opponent doesn't own a home, so he can't share in those concerns. He doesn't know what it is to pay a mortgage, doesn't understand what PMI is or how real that property tax issue is for a homeowner. Never mind a homeowner who's also dealing with education, who's putting children through school and having to clothe your children. These are issues that are really very real to me. With the homeless shelter specifically, I don't want to misguide you. I'm not familiar with all the issues, and I'm okay to say that because I don't need to know everything.
Right.
Okay. When I do become the New York State Assemblyman, I will work with the Suffolk County and the town of Islip, and I will make sure that we work together cooperatively, that this issue is addressed. And I say I won't speak on certain things because if I've heard it and I don't know factually that that's what's going on, it would be ignorant of me to speak on something that I don't know.
See, now I appreciate that because somebody else would have just said, well, you know, they need to do this and they need to do that. And we need to see a little bit more honesty and purity in government at this point because we've seen everything across the board. We've heard, you know, things that promises that people are going to make and what they're not going to make. I like the fact that you're saying, I don't know, but when I get into a place and find out the information, I'm more than willing to work collectively with community leadership and those in government to solve the issues that you're asking. I appreciate that, and we need to see more of
Thank
that.
you.
You know, so the next question, Maxima.
On the education.
Yes, on the education.
Basically, you know, being that our community is so diverse, we want to know exactly what you would do as far as immigrants and integrating them into our educational system here in Brentwood mostly.
Why not use that diversity? Why not use that as a platform? Why not use that, the different cultural part of it, as a bridge for our community? See, I found some things out in speaking with different members of the community that we have so many more things that bring us together than the things that divide us. For instance, I learned recently that tango didn't really originate in Argentina. It's actually an African dance. And
Wow,
so I think
okay.
that, see, I was very surprised to learn that. And so I started to look a little bit further into it, and I said, wow, you know what? We have, you know, the African American community, the Latino community, we have more in common than I think we really give ourselves credit for. And so if we take the arts and we take history and we take that cultural and you use that as a bridge to bridge the divide rather than something to you know, call attention to separately, I think that that's a really important approach to it.
And that's what's happening now. A couple of years ago, about 3-4 years ago, we did come together as a community. We were all united for a common cause because the gang population was so huge in our community, and we wanted
remember that.
We wanted it to end. So we came together. We were united, and now 5 years later, we're so divided again. You know, Dorina was one of the founders, coordinators of the Peace March that we had, you know, back in 2010. They did 2010 and 2011 with Anna Torres, and that brought us all together. A lot of small grassroots organization came about, and now, you know, like she said, we react to situations, and then we give up and we disperse. And right now we find ourselves so divided. It's like Black and Hispanics, and we're all going through the same things. We should be together, but, you know, we're not.
Yeah.
You know.
So what is your vision for the educational piece
Well,
for our children?
I want to use the arts.
Right.
I really, truly think that that's important to use the arts to bring us together because the arts help us bridge that divide, but also the digital divide.
Right.
You know, there are things that are not available to our school district that are available to the surrounding school districts in terms of, you know, bridging the digital divide. I want to make sure that our kids have access to that. I just attended a Meet the Teacher night, and I was so shocked to learn that there was not a smart board in my kid's classroom. In my older son's classroom, you know, there's a smart board in every room.
Right.
So, you know, why is it that, you know, the Brentwood elementary schools do not have the smart board in every
So
single
I want
classroom?
you to say that. Why doesn't the Brentwood Elementary School don't have this?
Because I went to there. I went to my Meet the Teacher candidate. I went there and I saw that they didn't have it. And when I asked,
Well, we have to ask the board,
It
why
was-
don't they have it in the elementary schools?
stated that there were budget concerns, and then it was 7 classrooms share one board. And I just thought, that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable.
So what do you think, dealing with the educational piece, how do you feel, because, you know, we know a couple of times that charter schools have tried to come into the district, and they've been fought. The
And
school
against
district,
it.
the county has fought it. They fought against it because the money that's going to be poured into the school district will have to now be split with charter schools. How do you feel about charter schools coming into our district?
From the information that I have to make the determination that I've made, I'm not in support of it. Okay? And I'm not in support of it because I feel that it would separate us even more. I think that the money that comes down, we have a large school district.
Yes.
We have a lot of
One of
children.
the, one of the largest. on
So
Long
why
Island.
should we be splitting it on top of how we're already splitting it?
Well, parents will look at it from a perspective. It gives them an opportunity to make a choice.
That's right.
You know, because of stuff like the gang issue that's going on in the school district, they may feel as though they want to probably try to give their children a little bit more of a private setting, but more opportunity that may be presented to them. You know, it is a question that has come up on more than one occasions. And I appreciate the fact that you're saying because you feel like it's going to just keep us more divided, you know, but parents will ask that question, and why can't we have the same privileges, those that's on the outside going into the boroughs, you know, that they do have charter schools so parents will feel more comfortable about putting their kids in a more of a private setting.
Again, with the information that I have available to me right now, I'm not in support of it. I think that it would not only cause further segregation of our already divided community, but it would siphon money out of the school district's already burdened budget. So, I mean, again, if there is other information that came to me that would help me to learn or look at it a different way, I would absolutely consider it. But right now,
You don't think it's a good idea?
I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think that Brentwood or Central Islip would benefit from this, not even a little bit.
So now the area that you're covering for the 6th district is Brentwood, Central Islip, parts
Those are
of
the
Bay
largest
Shore.
school districts that I would cover, but also Bay Shore. I have North Bay Shore, Brentwood, Central Islip, parts of Islandia, and parts of Hop Hog.
Okay. All right, Maximo, let's talk to our Spanish audience.
Bueno, estamos hablando aquí con Victoria Serpa, que está corriendo para el sexto distrito de la Asamblea del Estado de Nueva York, y le estamos preguntando qué ella haría distinto de Phil Ramos, que ha estado en esa posición ya 12 años, y queremos saber qué transformación ella espera tener, qué va ella traer distinto a nuestro distrito. Sabemos que nuestro distrito necesita tantas cosas, tantos cambios, y le estamos preguntando cuál es su visión para transformar nuestra área. You understood? Okay. So can you answer those questions?
Absolutely.
In Spanish? Can't do it in Spanish?
Are we still live?
Yes, we are.
Oh, okay. So I guess I can. Okay. First, let me say that I am Puerto Rican.
Yes.
Both of my parents are Puerto Rican. My parents are from Mayagüez and Ponce. And coming here, my grandmother did not speak English. My mother spoke very broken English, and my father, he spoke English. So growing up in the home, I spoke a very broken version of English and Spanish mezclado. It was worse than Spanglish.
Yes.
It was absolutely worse than Spanglish because I don't think too many people understood what I was saying in Spanish or in English. So,
Okay, so
you know, I got a
whatever
lot
you
of shaking of the
feel
heads.
comfortable with, you know, if you feel more comfortable in English, that's fine. And I'll translate as much as I can.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. No, yo puedo hablar en español, pero
pues,
un poco.
Pues hable el poquito que usted sabe. Le está diciendo que para que ellos sepan que usted quiere traer a la área, al distrito, porque usted tiene que traer algo nuevo para que ellos voten por usted. Tiene que traerle una visión nueva para saber cómo usted va a transformar nuestra área, porque en realidad nuestra área necesita tantos cambios, necesita tantos servicios, y que usted va a traer distinto a lo que Phil Ramos ha traído.
Okay. Well, es difícil para decir en español, porque las palabras son, yo no quiero decir como con odio.
No hay que decirlo con odio.
Okay, pero la gente tiene que entender que él no está haciendo cosas buenas para la comunidad.
Okay.
La cosa es para poner toda la gente a pelear.
Para dividir a la
Sí,
comunidad.
exactamente. Y yo no quiero hacer la cosa así. Okay.
Usted no quiere unir más, entonces, porque
Exactamente.
estamos divididas ahora y usted no quiere unir, ¿verdad?
Exactamente.
Okay. Y, okay, usted sabe que él es bien conocido, es recibido bien, especialmente aquí en
Pero está
Brentwood.
tocando la puerta de la comunidad y toda la gente está diciendo, no, Victoria, yo no quiero votar con él, yo no quiero quedar con él. Yo estaba con él en la elección pasada,
Okay.
pero esta elección yo estoy contigo porque yo no veo el cambio.
Okay.
So that's what I'm hearing. With every door that I knock on, que la gente quiere cosas diferentes ahora.
Okay.
Y yo soy la diferencia.
Okay, está bien. What she's saying that I asked her, you know, that Phil Ramos is well known in our community. You know, he's very well accepted in our community. especially, I'm going to say, by the Salvadorian community. He's, I just wanted to say that, what is she going to bring differently to the table? So she said that she's been knocking on doors and she's been hearing that they're basically tired of, what Phil Ramos has offered for the last 12 years, right?
Right. The same people that did support him in the past, and you know that I'm one of them. I used to work in his office.
Oh, okay.
That's a hit.
That's a hit, okay?
That's a hit.
I used
We
to
didn't
work in
know
his
that.
office. You didn't know that? Well,
No.
I'm not holding anything back. Everything's on the table, and yes, I used to work in his office, and I stepped back from the office because it compromised my integrity. And
See, I'm kind of liking her a little bit because she's being honest, and we need more of that. We need more of that. And I'm not endorsing anybody, but I like when
No.
people come on the show and they're honest, and we need more of that in government. Period. I like the idea that she's a young person, she's up and coming, and I do believe. What's your website? Tell us your website. How can people reach you?
www.serpafораssembly.com or victoria.e.serpa@facebook.com.
And if they wanted to ask you questions, they could reach you there and send you questions.
And send me an email, you can post it, and I'm very active. As a matter of fact, my Facebook goes to my phone and I answer everything. I try to answer it very quickly.
Okay, great. And you have an office that's set up where you do your campaigning and everything at?
Yes, I do. It's at 1044 Suffolk Avenue in Brentwood.
I just want to get that
11717.
plug in so nobody don't forget. So we're going to go on to our next question. The next question is, taxes on Long Island are very high.
Right.
What would you do to try to stop the taxes from being increased? We know, I just want to answer we sent her questions, so I want to make sure that we ask the questions correctly. I do have them on my phone, so you're just going to see me going to my phone. And I just want to make sure it's precise. Knowing that Long Island pays the highest property tax rate for the New York State, as an elected official, how can you ensure there will be no tax increase and seek solution for decrease of property taxes on Long Island?
Fair question. Okay. So if you understand how the assembly works, bills are going to come to me.
Right.
And they're going to come to me, and I'm going to say, I support this bill, I don't support this bill. My support or not support of the bill will allow it to come out of committee, and it'll get approved by the assembly, and the Senate will approve it, and then it'll go to the governor, it becomes law. And once it becomes law, it starts to take effect. You need people to run the departments that instill this law. So I have to take all of that into consideration. So that's spending. So I'm going to look at each bill that comes across my desk and make sure that I understand exactly where the money is coming from to support the bill and make sure that it's something that won't overburden my district. That's how I can help to keep property taxes low. How I can help with the senior citizens.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the next question. You know that,
I
right?
knew it was the next question. Okay, I love seniors, and I think seniors bring a lot to the table. I don't want to see them leave the community.
Right.
In fact, I was talking with a group of seniors, and I said, how wonderful to connect the seniors with the youth and have them tell their story to the youth. They have a story that you can't get out of a history book. So it's, and the youth can bring, bridge a digital divide with the seniors and bridge a divide that, we're going through right now that, it helps our generations bridge together.
There is a needed level of respect there because what's happening is the wisdom, I call them the wisdom
Yes.
for the season.
Yes.
The wisdom that is going on, a lot of them are not dropping those impartations into the young people.
That's right.
And so there's not a level of respect that should be with our elder population. And we see that once we finish our tenure, we would say in the workplace, we have now retired. Everything has gotten so high here that they can no longer stay. So many of them are moving to Florida or Virginia or North Carolina.
Right.
With you saying that, I think that plays a key part.
Thank
that
you.
if we can get something together where they will be able to invest into the youth that are here.
That's a synergy. That is a synergy that I'm talking about. That's getting everyone. I mean, it sounds like a campaign slogan. I realize that. I'm not naive. I understand it sounds like a campaign slogan, but it's not. It's something that if you just come back to, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Bring it back
Right.
to simple stuff. Working together brings solutions.
Right.
That it sounds like a campus, but it's not. That's honestly how I feel, and I think that I can do something to advance our community, from the youth to the seniors to the middle class to the government sector to our business sector. I mean, all of us bring something to the table. I'm sure that your experiences that you've had, if you and I sat down together, you'd be able to teach me something, and the same goes here. So what I bring to the table, and if the three of us got together and said we want to do something, I'm sure we would be a force to be reckoned with.
Oh, most definitely.
Imagine if our entire community got together and said, you know what, no more division.
Right, that would be great.
We are a force to be reckoned with.
It's been done.
It can happen.
Yes. On the same vein, what can you do to keep our youth, our young college graduates here on Long Island? Because there aren't any jobs to them, any decent paying jobs. We're losing our youth to the city, to the higher paying jobs. Also, the homes, the apartments aren't affordable.
Right.
What can we do to keep them here on Long Island?
Well, two things that I can say that I already have experience with is that I served on the Brentwood Chamber of Commerce as a director there. And so I understand the synergy that needs to take place with the financial world, with the chambers of commerce, and with our government and with our community. And I understand that there needs to be a working relationship with all of these sectors, but also with the housing. That has to play a role into it as well.
Definitely, yes.
Now, when I was, I said earlier, I think we were on break, I said that I had a 17-year-old. So if you do the math, I was quite young when I had him. I was still in high school, and I continued on. I graduated high school, and a lot of people said I wouldn't make it, that I was going to fall and become a statistic. And I took that as challenge accepted. I'm going to move forward.
And me 2 years ago.
No, I can't let myself be defined by someone else's definition.
Yes.
Not acceptable for me. So I found that there was a program that the Long Island Housing Partnership was doing, and I filled out the application. And then I got another package, and I filled out that package, and I started to participate in what it was to be a homeowner and first-time home ownership. And I realized that this education is amazing. I think it needs to happen for the entire community, not just for low to moderate income, but every level, everyone who wants to buy a home or refinance a home should be able to take a class like this. It was really an amazing step for me. So I was 17 years old, and I was told, guess what, you won. I won. They did a lottery for some homes in Bayshore, and I won. The lottery was for grants on a portion of the home, so I got a $70,000 mortgage on a $300,000 home at the time. So that was really impressive.
17?
I was 17.
Wow, that is impressive.
I was 17, so I didn't realize the gravity of the situation I was in until years later. But I did appreciate having an amazing house to live in with my newborn. And, looking at it now, why can't we all have these opportunities? I think we can. And I think, bringing the Long Island Housing Partnership and bringing other organizations that do similar work to come and speak with all the different organizations that do so many wonderful things in our community is important to bridge that divide. To be a young homeowner was an amazing experience. I sold my home, and then I bought the home that I grew up in Brentwood.
That's beautiful.
I didn't want to see it go. There was just so much history for me personally, and I wanted to share that with my children. And so I bought the house that I grew up in. And I saw both of my parents through their decline and departure in the home.
Wow. I like that, because you're a young person trying to teach young people how to stay, that they don't have to leave.
No.
That they can stay right here and they can overcome, and they can win just like you did.
Our
And
community is
regardless
so
of the
beautiful.
obstacles.
It has such
It
a
is.
beautiful history. I mean, looking back at it, I bought both of the books, the history of Brentwood, the history of Central Islip, the history of Bayshore, and I learned so much about the role that Long Island played in the founding of our country. And I was so proud to say, I'm from Brentwood. I've lived in Bayshore. I travel Central Islip. This is my community. This is where I'm from. And if we can bring that pride back to everybody who actually lives here, how amazing would that be?
Definitely.
It's all I think it all stems from education.
You're speaking to the choir,
Right,
because
'cause
we
we
love
know.
Brentwood. And we know the potential that's there
Yes.
to make our communities
Potential,
even
absolutely.
greater, So we understand.
So we're getting ready to go to commercial break. We'll see you in a few moments.
Brevard. I'm here for Multi-Medicine in Westbury, New York. We're located at 1065 Old Country Road, Suite 214. Been here for about 15 years. The practice has medical doctors, physical therapists, chiropractors, acupuncturists. We also do pain management, and we have orthopedists on staff. Here at Advanced Multi-Medicine Rehabilitation, we've got physical therapists on staff who treat an array of conditions, from neck pain to back pain, shoulder pain. We treat carpal tunnel. We treat a lot of car accident patients, slip and falls. We treat patients with knee injuries, with ankle injuries. We have state-of-the-art equipment. We've been here for over 15 years. Vast array of diagnostic testing, from x-rays to EMGs. What is an EMG? It's a diagnostic test that allows a doctor to determine where the pinched nerve is. Cora is a physical therapist at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. She's working on Stephanie, who was involved recently in an automobile accident. Stephanie has tight thoracic and cervical musculature, and Cora is doing some myofascial release work and some therapeutic stretching, doing it to help her with her pain. Vicky is also a patient here at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. Vicky is now working her leg muscles, specifically her quadricep muscles, trying to strengthen them after an injury she sustained. If you find yourself in need of any type of physical therapy, please don't hesitate to call Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation, located in Westbury, New York, in Suite 214. Phone number is 516-334-7000, or find us on our website at advancedmultimedicine.com.
Oh, welcome back. We were talking with Victoria Serpa. She's running for the 6th District Assembly person, and she's telling us a little bit about how she would make changes in the neighborhood, how she will bring us together to become as one, that we'll be able to make change, important change in this season. And it's time for fresh blood, it sounds like. So Victoria, let's talk about the foreclosure issues in our community, as well as the red light district. I would call red light, you think about prostitution, wait a second. But you know, the red light cameras that they have out nowadays. How do you feel about that? And what would you do to make changes as far as the foreclosure rate that's going on here? Not just in our district, but Long Island across the board.
Okay. The foreclosure district is something that's near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
Okay. Being a homeowner and understanding that there was a bubble. All right. I worked in the bank, and I saw the greed. I saw what was taking place with commissions and just the unethical things that were going on just to make a mortgage pass. People who are clearly not eligible for these mortgages were being considered for $300,000, $400,000, $500,000
Well, they were getting two mortgages just to get the house.
And then the second mortgages, because they needed to pay off bills, and it was just a vicious cycle until, oh my God, I can't handle this.
Right.
And that I believe in my heart that stems from not being educated on what the mortgage is, what PMI is, what insurance is, how much of your income do you need to make in order to support that mortgage, and what is realistic in terms of the cost of being a homeowner, because there's maintenance to your home. When you're paying $3,000-4,000 a month for your mortgage, which is not unheard of in my neighborhood, a lot of my neighbors were paying almost $4,000 a month for their home.
Yes.
We're not in the Hamptons. We're not in some elite part of the world where that's reasonable. That's not reasonable. So I feel that our community was taken advantage of. Our community, and not in a racial way.
Right.
In a way that it was, again, greed. Greed on people who weren't savvy enough to know that they were being taken advantage of. And I know a lot of people who fall into that category who probably would never admit it, but they're behind on their mortgage, or they find themselves, avoiding the bank's phone calls, or, that's a really uncomfortable place to be.
So you're saying education is the piece that they need to understand. And Obama has had all these new things that come out as far as modifications, giving them an opportunity to go back in and make changes so that they don't lose their homes. So you're saying education is the piece.
I think education is the piece, and I do agree that there's a lot that needs to be done. The banks were given all different types of programs to bail themselves out.
Yes.
What comes to us to bail ourselves out?
And then they don't even want to help the people.
But
when they're
education
morally
does
right.
have to be so that you don't find yourself in the same position again.
Right.
All right? Help me out of the position I've gotten into, and then help me never to get into it again.
Yes.
All right? That's not a handout, it's a hand up.
And that's what more people need.
Absolutely.
But you are going to find those who are going to come, and they are going to try to trick the system and see what they can get for free. We just need to be a little bit more discerning when that comes along.
Absolutely.
So Maxima, you have any other questions for her?
About the dumping in Brentwood, not only the parks, but
That's
I
right.
feel that we are a dump site for so many things. We have the sober homes.
Yes.
I live on Crooked Hill, so I know what's there. We have like 3 outreach houses right on Crooked Hill. Sober houses that really aren't used.
How about sex offenders?
Oh, that too. That's what I mean.
Did you know that 1 in 5 sex offenders in all of Suffolk County
Are
live in
there?
the 6th Assembly District?
Yes.
You knew that?
Yes.
That's amazing, because every door that I knock on, they don't know that. I'm bringing that to their attention. In fact, I have a community of people that were so upset about what was going on that they got together a petition drive to start a new line that wasn't Republican, that wasn't Democratic. It was an independent line called the United Communities. And this way, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, blanks, whoever you are, whatever denomination you're from, whatever you want, you can vote for me on that line and not feel that you're either aligning yourself on one way or abandoning another way. You can just, independent of everything else, vote for me because you want change and because you want a united community. You know that I am going to follow through on exactly what I'm telling you.
As a matter of fact, speaking on the sex offender, I actually know where some of them do live because we do have a neighborhood watch. We went from door to door knocking, and we happened to come across some of them, in doing that. And their neighbors didn't even know that they were living right next door to them. And I understand they can't live like within 100 yards, I guess, from a school, but they could live right next door to a family with children. That I didn't understand because most of the neighbors didn't even know that there were sex offenders living right next door to them.
But why was it felt as though that it was okay just to dump them in our neighborhoods?
1 in 5?
Yeah.
We're a dump site.
And that's the thing that she's saying. It's not just the point with the contamination.
Where's the outrage? You cannot have selective enforcement of the rules, and you cannot have selective benefit.
But the outrage has to do with the fact that most of the people that live in our area don't speak English.
Don't speak English and
They're not educated.
Now, I have an issue with the leadership that exists today taking advantage of the fact that the numbers are the way they are in our community. So they're like, you know what? We don't need to pay attention there. The vote is already ours.
Right.
Okay. We don't need to worry about campaigning hard in that community. We don't need to worry about bringing money to that community. We don't need to worry about making change in that community. We don't need to even worry about telling the truth to that community because the numbers are all Democratic. They're going to vote for us anyway. So why should we do anything like that?
But that's the wrong type of thinking.
I was on the executive board for the Isop Town Democrats. Were you aware of that?
We're aware of that
Okay.
now.
All right.
Yeah, but you're running independent.
I am running independent
That's
because
interesting.
I resigned from the board. I separated from the board because I couldn't continue on with what they were doing. I disagreed with it. I disagreed with a lot of the action that they were taking, and when approached, they said, this is it, take it or leave it. And I said, I leave it. Absolutely, I leave it. No question. I choose the side of my community over the side of politics any day of the week. And when you sit, before we started the show, you said, you know, it's interesting to have a politician do this, that, and I corrected you. I'm not a politician. I am a member of this community, and I want to see change.
Yeah, because Medea said politicians are pariah.
I love
what I'm
Medea.
saying?
I love
So,
Medea.
all they're doing is lying to get a
They're
seat.
lying, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So the fact that you're saying that is important. And we need to hear more of that. We need to see more independence as far as like, I'm not just choosing a party. But what I'm
Right.
doing is, what I'm saying is, I'm choosing to make things right and make change in our community. And that's what we're looking for. I know, honestly, I believe that many people in this season is looking for change. You know?
I try to lead by example.
Mm-hmm.
And proof positive of that is, even tonight, I brought my son with me.
Yeah, that's great.
I want him to see leadership in his mother. I want him to say, wow, I'm proud of my mom. My mom is making a difference. My mom is doing something good. And so I know that there are a lot of people in our community who also look to me for leadership, that look to me for strength. And it took a while for me to accept that leadership, because it's a transition for one to go into leadership. I mean, you really have to acknowledge the empowerment in yourself and then empower somebody else.
I think in the future, you're saying that you're not a politician, but you're a community member. I think in the future, we're going to mostly vote on policies instead as on a party level, because we
That
want
would be
to
my
see.
fondest hope.
I think that's what's going to happen in the future, because myself will vote on, instead of on the party. I am a Democrat, but I would vote on what I believe in, and not just because a person is a Democrat
That's all
or
I ask.
Republican. You
That's
know,
all
so
I
I think
ask.
that's the way it's going to be, in the future.
And not just because you like the individual, but because you
Yes.
want to see the person who's going to be truthful with change.
Exactly.
And we need to see more of that. So you have an initiative that you're working on that you were saying earlier, something that you're putting together, or
It wasn't actually I that put it together. It was the United Communities line, and that I had spoke about a little earlier
briefly,
before.
yeah.
Right, but it was so impressive and so humbling to me, because a group of members of my community where I live, work, and play came to me and said, I really want to support you, but I'm a diehard Democrat or I'm a diehard Republican, and you're an independent,
right?
and I don't want to leave
But you're
my
not
party.
the Tea Party. Okay, let's just talk about that too.
Now, we need to have clarity. I have been, I grew up in a Republican household, and then I became a Democrat. And then at one point I just said, you know what? I just want to help my community. I just want to help my community. Never mind the affiliation, never mind the pressures of, I just want to be able to do the right thing. So I did take my registration back from the Democrats, because I didn't feel that they were doing the right thing by my community, by the 6th Assembly District specifically. And so
If you could just say the name, the United.
it's United Communities.
Uh-huh.
It's an independent line that, again, the community put together.
Right.
They collected an overwhelming amount of signatures for, I believe it was more than double what was required from the Board of Elections. They collected more than double, submitted it to the Board of Elections without any opposition, without any question. I understand that the integrity of the signatures were so sound that no one can challenge. And that put a huge smile on my face, because, I mean, these are community members. This is grassroots. And that means that this campaign has really, really, really affected so many people. And they're able to come together on a grassroots level and go bottom up instead of top down. I love it.
And I like
love
the
it.
fact that it gives an opportunity for more diverse, a chance for the community to have someplace else to go besides Democrat and Republican.
Right.
So do you have an address or a website for United Community for Change? Is that what it's called?
It's the United Communities line.
Uh-huh.
It's going to be row H on the ballot on Election Day, November 4th. There's no website for it. I'm not sure, because that's something separate from my campaign. I'm not sure how they're working that out. I know that they have given me the line.
Okay.
They did collect the signatures for the line, and they've endorsed me.
I think that's beautiful. I think that's beautiful.
I agree.
So being that we're a faith-based show, and we are talking about transition, we are talking about change, we are talking about a place of freedom, what we're seeing in this season, I just want to touch on a few things and something we got to wrap it up. So we can't touch on those things. But I just want to say this. In the beginning, God created. And when he created, he made light and night and day, right? He looked to see if there was light. And so we're looking for light right now in the midst of all this darkness. And so with that being said, we see a fresh face here. We see an opportunity for change. If you like what you heard tonight, get in contact with the websites. Call the people that is necessary. Reach out to Victoria Serpa.
Yes.
Ask her all the questions if you're not comfortable so you can make a wise decision in this election coming November 4th. Welcome to Women of Destiny. We are
Women of Destiny.
real women with real talk.
That's right.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.